Hello and welcome to another update video on silver. We're going to take a look at the Elliott Wave structure for silver, but also we want to take a look at what's coming up this week. Before we jump into the silver chart, let's quickly look at what's coming up this week from a macro point of view, because there are a few events that could still shake up the metals market, at least short term. I mean, in the end, if you watch the previous videos, you know we are currently dealing with corrective structures, 3 waves up, 3 waves down. And whenever the market is in a phase like that, it can lead to some short-term volatility. And the market is just very sensitive to external events. So I think, we're checking this on the Xstation calendar from our partner broker XTB. That's the one I always use to keep track of the big macro events. And for example, you can obviously, sometimes people ask me, where would you trade silver? Here on XTB, they offer, for example, silver CFDs. If you're interested, check it out. You find a link in the comment section. You follow that link and you might want to maybe open a new account. Then you would also support the MCO project here, where we bring you additional updates every single day. But they also have this calendar. And I want to take you through a few of these key events because I think it's quite important to be very much aware of what's coming up in the next few days. I mean, tomorrow is Wednesday, November the 5th. And we've got plenty going on there. Pretty busy day for the US. We'll, for example, get the weekly energy reports. That's for example, gasoline stocks and then crude oil inventories. Those numbers often move the energy market, but indirectly, they can also affect inflation expectations, which then in turn can influence gold and silver as well. So it could be an interesting day. At the same time, the ISM non-manufacturing PMI for October comes out, including the prices and employment components. That's an important one because if the services sector shows weakness, it can push rate cut expectations a bit higher and usually supports precious metals. Also on Wednesday, so it's going to be quite a big day actually. Also on Wednesday, the ADP employment report is released, another early signal ahead of the official jobs data that's going to come out. Then we've got Thursday. On Thursday, we'll see the natural gas storage report, job cut data from Challenger and consumer credit numbers. Not major for silver directly, but the focus will again be on employment and credit conditions. Softer data would likely be bullish for metals. And then if we look at Friday, we'll get the University of Michigan 5-year inflation outlook, the main consumer sentiment index, and a series of FOMC speeches. The inflation expectations number is especially interesting for gold and silver. If people expect higher inflation ahead, that usually drives money into precious metals as a hedge. So overall, I mean, it's a week where macro data could add some volatility, especially around midweek with those ISM and employment numbers. So if you'd I think it's just important to be very much aware of some volatility that's coming up this week. And so I'd say let's take a look at the silver chart now. Elliott Wave counts. The Elliott Wave count hasn't really shifted from the overall idea that we were discussing yesterday. Look, that pullback that we already started. Well, we saw it started to develop on Thursday, has extended a bit, but we've only just now reached the support area I shared, I think, yesterday. This could be an internal B wave pullback in a larger wave 4 correction. So it's possibly in the blue count an A wave down. We might be in a B wave, which is again an A, B, C structure. And then we can get a C wave to the downside afterwards. I would still like to see that B wave bounce actually. But again, we're now in a B wave of a B wave. And B waves are the most difficult waves to predict. So just be a bit careful here when you're navigating this space. The support zone is between $46.23 and $47.62. And so this pullback is currently at least in 3 waves. So the B wave pullback unfolds as an A, B, C structure in wave B. like this, yeah. And I mean, I still keep the door open for that larger B wave bounce. I'd like to see that. So if you ask me which one I prefer the blue count, in which we get a broader B wave. It's not absolutely necessary, but I think it would look best. And in the yellow scenario, the B wave could have topped already, but honestly, if it has topped, we're likely going to enter the lower support region with support between $41.83 and $44.36, and the upper support region will likely not hold. Now, what makes this even more complicated is that this internal B wave pullback could even break below our micro support area at 46.23, form a double bottom structure together with the low from the 28th of October, and then give us a bounce. That is what makes these B waves so difficult. So if you're ever trading a B wave or a P wave in a B wave, it gets really, really difficult. And so it's important to be aware of the complexities. It's not easy to trade. I've warned a lot of times of trading a B wave or a fourth wave. So I think it's a great time to observe, to learn, to track structures, but it's going to be difficult to trade because the correction isn't over yet, and corrections are usually best for capital preservation. So I still track that B wave. I think now this area could be extremely interesting between 47.62 and 46.23. So you should now, however, be aware of all the levels. And I think as soon as we break above this internal B wave high around $48.80, that could be an indication that the next leg to the upside has started. So yeah, that's the update on silver. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in, also maybe checking out a new broker platform, if you want to open a new account or also trade silver, you can check it out directly on the XStation platform from our partner XTB. The link is pinned in the comments, and if you support it, you also support the MCO project, and it helps us keep producing these daily market updates for you. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.